Chicago is a city with a sky full of bacon, where the ducks are lined up in a row like precinct captains on election day. If you buy all your meat in neat little square packages, it can be a shock to come to an Asian neighborhood like Argyle Street and see whole ducks, chickens, even squid hanging in the windows. Eric Cheng started serving Chinese barbecue at Sunhua in 1986. Now his daughter Kelly and her brother and sister are working to take over the restaurant, introducing ambitious new dishes like Peking duck. I asked Kelly why Asian customers still like to see this particular kind of whole foods.
I don't want to make a stereotype and say that the way Chinese women shop, they're very picky, but they are. And they pretty much shop in the way that they look at a piece of meat and they say, I want that piece. And that had better be the piece you're giving them, otherwise they get very upset. Second reason why the head and feet must remain on, especially during certain holidays, is when Buddhists go to pray, the head and the feet must be on because you want to have a whole thing as an offering. If there are missing parts, it's an offense to the gods and to your ancestors because you're not giving them the entire thing. It's like you had a bite before they did, and that's a no-no. I'll have a lot of suburbanites go by. Ew, mommy, there's a chicken in the window with the head on. I'm like, yeah, so?
First job, and my first job is in Hong Kong. I work for the restaurant, barbecue department, the kitchen. I be the boy, running. And 13 months later, then I be the chef. But the small one, not the very favorite one. In 76, immigration moved to New York. So in New York, and I'm still doing this kind of the job. I work for some barbecue restaurant. Then I asked the boss, give me about 3 days vacation. He don't. He said, no, you are not in vacation. I said, hey, my wife, very soon got baby, come out. The doctor now take him go to hospital. He said, no, you are not cannot be vacation. So I quit. I partner with 3 guys, and we make the start of the first barbecue restaurant in New York.
We started thinking about moving to Chicago from New York in '86. And my mom and my dad came up here to look for a place. They went to Pittsburgh first. My dad didn't like it there, and the reason we were moving from New York was the life was just too stressful there, and it wasn't something that he wanted his kids to grow up in, that kind of environment. And so he decided Chicago. When he came here, he just liked the feel of the town. It was very relaxed, and all Chicagoans know it's so. You have the city life without going nuts like you would in New York. He went down to Chinatown first, and he was looking around. He said, no, I don't like it here. Let's see if we can find anywhere else. And someone said, well, if you don't like Chinatown, why don't you look up on Argyle Street? It's a lot of Vietnamese people, but some of them are Chinese, like Chinese Vietnamese. And so he said, okay. So he came up here, and he went to eat at Hanki. Because in 86, 87, Hanki was the only place that had Chinese barbecue on Argyle Street. And And my dad is one of those amiable guys that if you just said, hey, can I check out your kitchen? He's like, oh, okay, go ahead. Because obviously we keep our the recipes a little bit more in a more private area. So that's really the main thing. It's the flavoring, not so much the process. And so when he came up here, he asked the older mister, saying, hey, can I check out your kitchen? The old man's like, what are you talking about? No one's gonna look at my kitchen. You're gonna steal my secrets. No way. So he left the restaurant after they paid and ate. Said to my mom, let's go by that building down the street we just looked at. Because if he's gonna act like that, then I know I'm gonna be successful. We've only been offering Beijing duck since February of this year, so about 4.5 months.
Okay. Did you make it for special occasions before?
We never offered it before. It was not something that we thought we could do before. First, we defrost in the basin under running water. Afterwards, we will cut off the beak, the wings, and the feet. The duck is left to set and waits for salting and sauce. We then sew up the belly where the duck has been cut open, pump it with air through the neck. After it's pumped full of air, we have to set the skin, and it sets by boiling in hot water. So we dip the whole duck into the hot water to seal up the skin so the air doesn't leak out. And then we'll soak this duck itself on top into the dressing of the vinegar and molasses. So people in the north, because it's colder, they need to keep warm. So traditional Beijing duck from the north is unseasoned and the ducks are fatter. They let them sit for over a month, about 45 days, to get them to fatten up. It's like stuffing for foie gras. They're stuffing for the skin. They want them to get fat so that when they go to roast, the skin is super crispy. The southern style is very similar, but because southerners are in a more humid and hot area, they tend to sweat more. So to replenish the salt content in their bodies, they like foods that are salted. Our ducks are raised by Culver Duck Farms in Indiana, and we've been working with them pretty much since day one we've opened here, and they have been fabulous. We would tell them, they would come and visit us every year, and we would tell them, it's too fat in these parts, it's too fat in those parts, and they would breed the fat out, literally breed the fat out of them for us. And those are the ducks that they would sell us. And so they're compared to northern duck. Our fat content from our ducks are much lower, and compared to traditional southern Beijing duck, our salt content is lower because we use a lighter salted flavor.
Yeah, this
This is our drying area. They only hang for about an hour until the moisture from the skin is dry, and then we'll remove them back into the refrigerator.
Yeah, my son cooking about pig and the duck together.
I was reading that in a book called The 1,000 Recipe Chinese Book, which I think was my mother-in-law's, that the people who fix Beijing duck study only that for a whole year. So what culinary college in Illinois did you go to where they have a whole year of Beijing duck?
Oh, there's a place here, it's called Sunhua University. We are the college. I mean, this is really one of those things where you're an apprentice. For example, my dad, when he left China and went to Hong Kong, he apprenticed with 3 or 4 different people. 2 he truly calls his masters. And he apprenticed for about 2.5, 3 years, and he was able to become a master very quickly because he learned the art very quick. This is our style of Beijing duck. This is a pickled daikon radish. The carrots and the scallions to go on there are hoisin sauce, and the wrappers that we use are a steamed guabao. They are a yeast-based rice flour steamed bun.
No, that's different from
Different from the pancakes, from a lot of places. A lot of places will use pancakes, the Chinese pancake, it's a little bit like the mushu skins, or they'll use substitute for tortillas. But I have found that those are much too heavy, and so when you're eating it, it overpowers the duck. And by the time you're working on your second one, you don't want to eat because you're full. And this bun is so light and so fluffy that you can have 3 or 4 without batting an eye.
And you get those from a bakery?
Actually, no. They're made in Taiwan. We have to buy them frozen, and so we buy them wholesale from supermarkets.
No.
Whoever's cheaper, that's where I'm buying.
Well, there's still a pretty good layer of fat on that duck.
Yes, there is. But compared to what you would find in a traditionalist way, this is nothing. I am working toward a 500-seat restaurant.
Okay.
In a year, we'll be moving onto Broadway. I would like to put Chinese pre-feed fixed menu in the new restaurant. I think it's a very, again, we were talking about conscious eating earlier, and Chinese pre-feed really is the concept of home-cooked food, and that's the most health conscious for us. And so if people are willing to accept that, it's a new way for them to try a lot of new and different, unique things and be able to eat in a very healthy manner.
Are there restaurants like that in the U.S. at this point, or is it kind of
I have heard of a few. I know that the ones that have done well are the owner's cook. And so, of course, the more heart you pour into your food, the better it tastes.
How does your dad feel about the ideas that you're talking about evolving the restaurant toward?
He is very, very supportive. I always said that if I were a daughter born in China, I would not be where I am today. We would not be having this interview. And even in China now, where it's more open and girls have a lot more opportunities, the older generations are still, you're older now. You have to get married. You can't do that all the time. You have to have a family. And my dad has never behaved that way towards any of his daughters. You want to get married? Go ahead and get married. You want to work? Work. You want to go to school? Go to school. Dad will support you. He's very supportive of everything we do.
Did you always have the idea that your kids would take over the business, or some of them might, or?
Yeah, but my kid always graduates college, so I tell them this kind of business not so bad. We cook the thing for people. They like it to eat, so make us more happy. That's one thing. Then also we got about almost 35 years experience. So when we retire, they don't do it. I think that's really very waste. Yeah. Now they training 1 year already. They have 1 more year, and next year they are handled. Yeah.
I grew up in Montreal, and every Sunday after church we went to Chinatown and had Beijing or Peking duck.
How does this measure up to your memories?
It's spot on. I would say perhaps better, but it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to improve upon childhood memories. But
this wonderful enclosure that they provide for the duck is spectacular. It's a soft, billowy, fluffy cloud.
Never had them like that before. I've usually had the tortillas or the pancakes, but they're light and they let the taste of the duck really come through, which is nice. And the sauce is terrific. I've never quite had hoisin like that.
And the skin for me is delicious. It's almost like a perfectly made potato chip. It makes me want to be a genetic engineer so I can mix a Shar Pei and a duck together and maybe get extra skin on the duck. That would be very good.
What does your mom think? I know she comes here too.
oh well, The funny thing is she enjoys it, but she comes here for chicken feet and for the deep fried pig intestine.
In the next Skyful of Bacon, I'll go to small town Texas to talk to two legendary barbecue pitmasters. And don't miss the first episode, where I find out what's growing locally in the big city.